Hey button pushers, Nick here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the hacky slashy time travel shoot 'em up Blades of Time. Blades of Time was originally released back in 2012 for PC and the previous generation of consoles, and now Gaijin Entertainment, if that's how you pronounce it, I'm never too sure, have ported it over to Switch because Switch is the favourite overall console for porting games right now. Gaijin Entertainment sent over the review copy for the game, so thank you very much to them. The full review is up on the website already, and as always the link for that is in the description below. First off, as a brief overview to the game, you play as Ayumi, a treasure hunter who enjoys wearing massively inappropriate clothing because, of course, who has set out to a place called Dragonland on the hunt for some legendary treasure that so many before you have hunted out and never returned. It doesn't take too long for things to start going a little screwy until they go completely wrong and you realise you're trapped there and you're going to have to find a new way out. The mission will take you to various different locations, have you interacting with multiple different groups of people, and the majority of them will try and kill you.
Kill her!
But what if...
Kill her now!
Now, obviously the game isn't called Blades of Time just for the pure fun of it. One of the key elements of the gameplay is your ability to manipulate time. Basically, you do something, you hold down the button to rewind time until you release the button or you run out of time travel juice, at which point you'll generate a clone that will now perform the actions that you performed up until you hit the time button. Sounds confusing. It's actually not as confusing as it sounds, but talking about time manipulation always gets a little bit weird. This isn't limited to just one clone either. If you have enough power, then you can have multiple clones all doing the same thing at the same time. It gets a little bit crazy. Another important use of being able to bend time is for puzzle solving. There'll be times where there's, for example, 2 buttons that need to be pressed, but obviously only one of you. Simple. You stand on one, you zip back in time, and then you run to the other one. There's also gates which shut immediately after they've been opened, so again, you open the gate, you run over to the now closed door, you whiz back the clock, and you wait for your clone to open the gate for you. Time manipulation isn't always just about combat or puzzles. There will be times where you'll need to use it to be a little bit sneaky. There are certain enemies that are far too strong and vicious to actually try and attack, so basically you need to distract them. Simply enough, you run towards them till they spot you, wind back the clock, and then run away while your clone is being mauled to death. It's effective, but it's pretty savage. The combat of the game is a mix between general hack and slash, shoot 'em up, and platforming, bundled together in a little package. You have the option to pull off some pretty insane looking combos, which is especially useful if there's a large group of enemies and you need to put some distance between you and them, or if you just fancy unleashing a little bit of a spectacle. But at any time you can switch between your gun and your swords, so you can start unloading from a distance. There's different techniques you'll need to apply to different situations, as there are some enemies that take more damage from melee attacks, and then on the flip side there are some enemies that can only actually be attacked with your gun. The ability to quickly flip between them is particularly helpful, as the game can be brutal at times, and some of the enemies deal massive amounts of damage to you if they manage to connect, and they require a hell of a beating before they eventually go down. As you kill enemies, you automatically gather up their chi, and this is what you use to improve your skills or buy yourself some new ones. You can spend your chi at the statues dotted around the world, and you're normally given the chance to walk away with 2 things. First one being a brand new attack, and the second one being a power boost to an existing attack. Whenever you do buy a new attack, you're taken straight to a training area to give it a try. Any new attack that you get is powered by the rage meter that's found just under your health bar. That fills up over time as you're fighting, and there's 2 skull icons along it. The orange skull indicates that your first tier strong attack can be used, so you can use that and it will bump the rage meter down, or you can keep stocking it up until the red skull is full, and that indicates your strongest attack can now be used. All of the attacks normally have quite a large blast radius, especially the red skull attacks, so are exceptionally helpful when you're facing off against a crowd. Obviously, being a treasure hunter, Ayumi is equipped with something that helps her find treasure. It's a compass, and at any point you can bring it up and check where you need to go. There can be up to 2 arrows on the compass. There's always a little green arrow telling you the way to go to progress the story, but every now and then there will be a red arrow which is pointing you in the location of a treasure chest. It's always handy because you can pick up new weapons and new equipment, anything like that, to give yourself a proper little boost. Some of the chests though are hidden through dark magic called chaos, and so you need to cast a spell in order to be able to see them. Now, speaking of chaos, this is the cause of all the death and destruction throughout the game. Every now and then you'll come across areas that are so dense with chaos that you can barely move, and there's a strong chance of creatures lurking undercover or just outright invisible thanks to the chaos. In these situations you can protect yourself a little bit by throwing up a sphere of order. This is essentially a giant bubble that surrounds you and removes or dampens some of the dangers of the chaos, which allows you to move freely through it without having to worry quite as much. Every now and then though, moving through it isn't going to be an option. Sometimes there's statues that are emanating chaos barriers, so you'll need to take them out before you can actually get past. But before you can do that, you need to clear out all of the enemies guarding it first. As is the way with hack and slash games, as you move through the story, you'll occasionally have to get past a boss guarding a specific area, and these can be an actual joke. The problem with hack and slash games is quite often when you face an enemy that has a large health bar like a boss, you just end up mashing buttons for what feels like an absolute eternity, which removes any sort of skill or enjoyment from the game. This does get easier once you've got the time manipulation ability or some better skills, because you effectively have multiple versions of you slashing away all at the same time, but they can be a little bit of a chore. And there we have it. That is Blades of Time. It's out now for Switch. I hope this has been interesting or useful in some respects. Thank you very much for watching. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't done already, and until next time, hear the music.